Hi, I'm Ben. I'm here with #IAMWHOLE for some more amazing digital detox content. I am so excited for this conversation. The people on this sofa, it's unreal. The amazing Tasha, Joe, and Ashley. The conversation we are about to have, we are going to be talking about the world of online dating. It's not just dating, it's dating plus. We've got social media, we've got gym selfies, we've got fuckboys. The conversation, it's intense. I'm so excited, and I'm not going to do any more. Let's start right away. I've never had to say this before, but please be warned, some of the topics in the conversation are of an adult nature. I'm so sorry, Mum. What are your thoughts on online dating?
You know what? Obviously, I think online dating is just a nightmare, isn't it?
Horrible.
I mean, obviously, I am in a relationship, but before, I didn't do online dating. Like, dating apps. Like, let's just talk about dating apps. I feel like dating apps is a nightmare. You can get catfished. You just don't know, like, who you could be speaking to. And I feel like so much pressure on, like, what to say in a conversation. Like, how do I pop up? Like, do I say, hi, how are you? Like, you overthink it so much.
And also, like, not to brag, but we are internet famous. Like, there's also that part. Like, they already know who we are. And if we don't live up to that expectation, that's gross.
That terrifies me. Literally terrifies me.
Right.
Like,
I actually like online dating, and I met my partner, who's now the father of my child, from online dating. And the reason that I like it, is because so I was single from 27 to 33.
There is hope.
And but I actually really enjoyed it, and I loved like all the love I used to put into like fuckboys and toxic relationships. I started putting it into my friends, into travel, and I just had this amazing life as a single person. And when I went out, I just didn't want random men to come and talk to me, and it would actually annoy me because I was like, I'm here with my friends.
Yeah. Right,
and people kept saying to me, you'll meet someone when you're not looking, and I was like, I mean, I'm so not looking unless someone falls out of a plane and lands in my garden patio who happens to be my dream man. Like, I actually need to start looking. So I went onto online dating sites because I knew I didn't want to meet someone in this industry. I knew I didn't want to meet someone in like at a DJ gig because it's like a club sort of environment. And I actually like the fact that you can like fabricate a person that you want to be, I didn't catfish him. I kind of did catfish
You are
him.
actually
No, but it's
do
like
get in touch.
I didn't want to do like, say if I didn't link my Instagram account because I didn't want people to see like red carpets and lingerie shoots, because then I felt like I'd only attract a certain type of person.
Yeah.
So I did like really wholesome pictures, you know, like traveling, no makeup on, like eating a burger in a restaurant. And I felt like I got to be like the real Ashley, the Ashley who I was before I was in this industry.
Sure.
And then I got to like meet a nice person, but it did take me a while to realize that, and to realize that you can online date. But don't get me wrong, it's awful, but then I feel like it's awful in real life as well. There are like, it's kind of just a bit like you have to kind of filter through all the gym selfies and whatever else, and then you do actually meet people sometimes.
Yeah, I feel like it very is like the real world, because social media is such a big part of our world now.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the only way you can really meet people.
Yeah.
It's like, even before I used to go into clubs, restaurants, no guys would ever come over, like ever. It's all through like...
They were mad.
But did you want them to?
like,
Were you hoping that they would?
What was that?
Did you want them to?
I mean, if I was like, if there was a guy I was quite attracted to, I quite like it, if they did come over. So I feel like it's quite natural to do that. And it's like the old days.
I prefer that, right? I met my ex in like a pub near like my family house. It was really nice because it was like, and I wasn't looking for anything. I think when you don't look for it, it's like so much more natural. And I wasn't doing dating apps or anything like that at the time.
Okay.
But now I'm like, might have to.
Yeah.
Back on.
But do we think that social media has made dating harder or easier? And a caveat to that, is it the job we do? Is it that we're in the public eye? For like people that are at home that are just like have social media in general, do you think that's made it easier for them? We don't have the perspective, I guess.
Like, it's hard. It's a bit 50-50. I feel like social media can be somebody that you're really not in person.
Sure.
But also it can be who you really are. Like, especially Instagram. Let's talk about, like, I feel like Instagram's quite a good point. Is, Instagram's not real life, but it also can be at the same time. So it depends how you play it. So it is quite that concept of, the dating apps, how you portray yourself. really just depend on social media can make it harder or easier for you.
Sure.
So
I think it's
a bit
harder. Do you feel, like, because I think that you're always gonna like, there's the grass is always greener all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like, you'll
Yeah, I
find
do.
someone that you like, and then someone else will pop up, and you're like, oh, like maybe they seem like a bit of me. Do you know what I mean? There's always gonna be that cycle. And as you were saying, like, everyone portrays himself in different ways. Like, I worry now because on TikTok, like, I'm just stupid and loud, and I feel like people only know me for that. And then I'm
You're
like,
more than that.
I'm actually kind of clever.
Of course
No, I'm
you are.
joking. I'm joking.
I didn't expect that.
But yeah, no, so it is hard to get that side out because I don't like showing that side because it's not as fun. But at the same time, like, how do I expect to meet someone if I'm not showing that? But then I'm like, just meet me in person. But then again, it's hard, isn't it?
Yeah,
to do
and also
that.
like,
So
are they a stalker? There's that stress
that's
to it.
Do you know what? There is that stress to it as well.
Yeah, because I don't know about you, but I never want anyone to know where I actually am. Because, like, what if someone comes and gets me?
I've never thought about that, but now I'm
Well,
scared.
if you've not had death threats online, here's a time to talk about it. I actually have had death threats online, and they've like sent me maps with pins of like where they know I'm gonna be, and it's like, okay, that's really scary. And that's like, and I'm not even a big deal.
Yeah,
like,
that's
you've not heard of me, and still someone wants to kill me, right? And that, like, I know we're talking about nice things, but like, the internet is a scary fucking place.
It is.
These things happen. And that for me, I'm like, I don't want people to know where I am. So like, I never want to date someone that knows me through online, which makes it quite a small pool of people.
But do you not feel that's like the situation if you're in like the public eye in whatever sense, online, offline? Like, because when I first did Made in Chelsea back in 2012, there wasn't really social media.
Sure.
But you know, that like, it's like whether you're in the public eye or not, there's still an element of safety, which I feel like you take into account. Like, definitely as women, like we are basically raised knowing to like cover our drinks, or you know, there's so many like safety things. So I think the internet is actually a reflection of real life with like similar dangers, and so it's just about being smart and like dating smart and chatting to people and like. Yeah, I went on 3 dates online in total. The third one was the winner.
That's a good ratio.
Yeah, I
Like,
was quite
really
selective
good.
though. Like, I was very selective.
You in London
online.
at the time?
Really good.
Yeah.
Jesus
Um,
Christ.
I've got to help you with your dating profile. I feel like
You
I nailed
do.
it.
What,
But
that hit
also,
rate?
I feel like you can really tell the fuckboys. Like, gym selfies, see you later. I don't know what way
I
you
love a red
swipe.
flag. I love a red flag.
You're a red flag.
That is your love it.
I see when I run
Like-
towards it.
Do
Give
you know
me
what?
issues,
I
baby.
I literally do. I'm like, I can fix him. I can fix this man.
No, it's not a house to renovate, darling.
But also, like,
it's
you're
a
not his mum.
relationship.
You're not his mum or his therapist.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Just love to give him a big old cuddle and be like, don't worry, give me those abs. Do you know
Give
what I
him
mean?
a cuddle and do the abs, but just don't catch feelings.
Yeah.
Catch the feels.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I think there's like, for me, there's like an extra element to dating online because I don't represent one gender or another. So I'm already like looking to a smaller market. And then there's all these guys that want specific things from me. Like, I'm not a cross-dresser. I'm not a trans girl. I'm not T for T. It's none of that. But it's like, that is like, the pool is so narrow to just find someone that's nice. I'm like, you'll do. It's fine.
But-
so it's another stressor.
Do you find that with that, online actually helps you find the people that you're attracted to easier? Because I imagine in the real offline world, that's quite a hard thing to navigate as well.
It's like twofold. It's easier to find, but they're not necessarily attracted to me. I'm a very specific taste, so it's quite a difficult game for me to play. It's complicated. I probably don't have enough time to get into it. My therapist knows the tricks of what that feels like. I think, you know, that's probably another aspect of like, once you have that success story, we've got 2 people in relations, 2 people not. How do you feel about posting, sharing, talking about your relationship online? Obviously, you have a very different way to feel about that. Like, your whole world is different because of it. But how do you feel about that?
I think obviously I've gone to a program that is about dating. It's a dating
Really?
show. I mean, don't know if you ever heard of it before.
Love Island.
And I think coming out, it's weird because you're both in the public eye together. So it's like not like pressure, but you are having to share your journey outside of the filler because people have been watching you for 11 weeks and they still want to see that journey. It's a long time when you think about it. It's a very long time. And I think it's hard because at the same time, you kind of have to be like, don't care what people think.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's me and Andrew.
Yeah.
Like, that's all it is. So that's how I need to think, is like, it's just me and Andrew. I'm just sharing a bit of me, a bit of him, and us two together. If people like it or hate it or love it, then that's your opinion. So,
Yeah.
but it's a bit weird coming out, and my whole world has pretty much changed. The flip side, and now I'm kind of having to share. It's a strange aspect because it's social media, and it's like people watching you and
Yeah. Do you
seeing
feel like
what
you
you're
have a
doing, like your
responsibility?
stories, like watching my stories and like seeing what them two doing today, like things like that. So it is quite like there's a lot
of pressure.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure, but at the same time, you kind of have to be like, just go with it, go with the flow.
Yeah.
Just
Try not to let it get to you.
Yeah.
I guess.
yeah.
Good luck. Tell us how
exactly.
that goes.
Yeah.
We'll know. We'll see it.
We'll see.
We'll be following.
We'll see it.
Absolutely. And so for you, you're not in a relationship.
No, very recent as well.
And so obviously if you do date in the future,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think you'll do differently this time with the, like, you've got that reflection moment at the minute?
Yeah, I mean, so basically, like, everyone feels like they know me and my life and my family very
Sure.
well because it's like all I put out.
Sure.
So I feel like personally that part of my life I'd want to keep private to an extent. Like, I wouldn't mind telling people I've got a partner, but I don't think I would be so open about it because I feel like it's nice to keep that like a private thing for me.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? Because I'm quite like in that position where I feel like there's a lot of aspects of my life which are so much out there that if I can control it and so no one can see it, then I'd rather that. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
So that's where I'm at. That's in my reflection moment at the moment.
Yeah.
Very different to yours, I'm not gonna lie.
Like complete spectrum.
Like complete opposite ends, but you won't see me on Love Island, so it's fine.
Okay.
Or
And
you
for you,
might.
Ashley, you do.
Well, so I've, I guess, got experience of like dating in the public eye, dating on reality TV. And what I found is that there's quite a lot of misogyny in the media. And so
Really?
when, who would have thought?
Surprise!
And so as a woman in this industry who was like really trying to work hard to like carve my own like brand, I guess, I always found it frustrating that it would always be like, Ashley, who, not even like who's dated, but who's rumored to have dated. And it's like, how, like, and I feel like women are always described by the man who they've dated or the men who they've dated. And even like the Sun once did an article it said something like, Ashley, who's famous for dating famous men. And I was like, really? Is that
I don't think that's the reason we know you.
is that
Yeah.
what
Who's
all I
writing
am?
these headlines?
So I was
Men.
really no,
Sorry.
it's actually not, sadly.
No, you're joking.
Is it jealous women?
But that is a story for another time. But
Join us next
it's
week.
the patriarchy, isn't it? So
Yeah.
We're stuck.
So I was really cautious to date, and when I was dating within those 6 years, sometimes it was people in the public eye, and actually usually it was because that was like my environment of people who I was hanging out with, and it almost made my like fear of being seen to be dating someone kind of allowed guys to treat me like I was the secret a bit, because I was so desperate. Like, I don't want to be seen out with you because I don't want to be like associated with like another guy or another famous man.
Okay.
So I was like, let's just keep it really harsh. So then I almost like allowed myself to feel like the dirty secret in a way for
That is
ages, and it really
awful.
affected my self-esteem. And that was another big reason that I decided I didn't want to date in the industry. And then when I was ready to find someone and I started online dating, I actually reconnected with someone who I used to work with years ago from my past, back in the day of Abercrombie and Fitch, when that was really cool. And you're looking at me like it was never cool. How dare you say
I'm
that?
just a bit younger. I don't remember.
You're like,
Abercrombie.
sorry,
love
who?
Abercrombie.
No.
Oh, cute,
No.
you're in your 30s.
I remember the bag.
Yeah.
I remember vaguely the
Yeah.
bags, but like I didn't want to deal with that emotion, so I think I just blocked it out.
But I felt like I had to be.
You're still young and gorgeous. Can I just say that? I'm not
Confident.
calling you old at all.
It's Botox,
I never
babes.
would.
But no, so I felt like when I came to sharing Tommy online, I was excited to, because also like the online world does kind of become your community as well.
Sure.
Like for all the like shit on it, like Instagram, especially since motherhood, it's like it helps me, and lockdown and all of that. It's like it's a really nice positive community, and I was excited to share that chapter of my journey. But it's also a bit cringe, isn't it? If you're like, this is my boyfriend, and then like 2 weeks later you're like erased,
That's
and
the
so you
theory
don't want to
behind
end
it.
up like you
Yeah.
have to be a bit careful. But I knew with him, and so then I shared it, and sometimes like you can overthink, and I'm like, oh, should I? And he's like a very private person, so sometimes he's like, do we have to do this picture? And I'm
Yeah.
like, but I think it's like, as long as you're both like on the same page and you're both open, and also like you shouldn't ever feel pressure to put someone online if you don't want to
Yeah.
either.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you get lost in the moment though. You're like, I want to share that I'm happy for once.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
like when that falls apart, it's like, how do I archive this gently so no
Yeah,
one sees? So now like I have the Kendall Jenner rule. So she won't put anyone on the show unless she's been with them a year.
Right.
Her last boyfriend was a year. He nearly made it, and then the cut
Right.
happened. So like that's what I'm gonna try and do. I think you have to get to a milestone
Fine. Yeah.
before you
I think it's a good
that's
idea.
great.
like soft launch them.
I would not
into
be able
your-
to do that.
No, well,
God,
obviously not.
I
no.
feel
You
like
can't do Love Island in advance.
I'm carve it
Okay,
all
I'm
now.
going to do it, but only if we last a year. So can you look forward into the future? It's not going to work. I won't do it.
I feel like as well, if you go back to like early Instagram days of when like none of us really knew what we were doing, mine would be
I
like
still
a
don't know what I'm
series of
doing.
like X's, then like a few months of really cringy quotes about like know your worth, or like
Oh yeah, 100%.
and then it would be like someone else would come along, and then
Yeah.
like a cringy quotes for a little bit longer. And I've learned now, like, just keep the
Actually,
cringy
I
quotes
want to
away.
bring that back. That was a good period.
Yeah, it was.
Be more cringe online. Be weird. Be mysterious. I
Yeah.
miss
Yeah.
Tumblr actually.
I might start putting some
Absolutely.
quotes up now.
Please do.
Really like
Yeah.
enigmatic quotes.
Be mysterious.
When people pop up like, "You okay, hun?" You know, on Facebook when people used to do that, like,
Yeah.
"Are you alright?" And then
Yeah.
they'd have like
I'll
hearts
DM
of
you,
hearts in the
babes.
comments. Yeah. Maybe we'll just bring it back.
Yeah, I'll be on Bieber at 9:30. Oh, that's so strange. That was a dark hole of the internet. You are so lucky if you're watching this and you're Gen Z that you don't know any of that. That's so good for you.
I actually like Bieber because I was like quite bi-curious growing up, and I didn't know anyone that was like struggling with sexuality as my
Sorry,
teens.
was
So-
Bieber about queer people?
No, it wasn't.
Oh, right,
but
I
I
got
used
confused. I
it
did
because
not
you
know.
put your like
Did I out
relationship.
myself at
you
12?
could put like your relationship or your like, sexual orientation. So
Sure.
I
Sorry,
used
I
it
freaked
to
out.
actually like chat to other girls because
Right.
I didn't really have that around.
Sure.
Up in the Lake District where I went to school,
Yeah.
so I actually quite like Bebo. Sorry, we're going a bit off
No,
topic,
that's fine.
but
It's
that
all
was like
social
kind
media.
of where I like sort of experimented with my sexuality back in the Bebo days.
Incredible.
Big up Bebo.
Bieber, if you are watching, come back to us. How can
back.
you manifest something better for us? We're bored of Snapchat. We want Bieber back. Who uses Snapchat anymore? We're not lovers of it,
No,
are
I
we?
deleted
No,
mine.
I
Right.
know.
It's a mess. That's also another place where the unsolicited dick pic comes. There is a pressure in the queer dating scene, this idea that we have to send nudes or stuff.
Or just look nice.
Right, you're in the public eye.
Yeah.
Are you like that pressure of like send me a nude, send me a nude? You like,
No,
are you scared of it being leaked?
I just won't like put myself in that position.
Yeah, because
Do
you
know
don't
what
want
I
it
mean?
flashed on the paper.
Or like, yeah,
I'm sure
that's-
you look gorge.
Thank
but you
you.
don't want that out
No,
there.
it's also like that element of like trusting people. Do you know what I mean? And like since being
trust
single, like
anyone?
I've only like chatted to people that I kind of have known or like are friends of friends or met out.
Yeah.
Because the idea of speaking or even like opening up to someone that is not like a friend of friend or something, or is just a stranger online, is terrifying for me right now. And I don't really know how I'm gonna like get over that. Do you know what I mean? In future.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna have to like figure it out. But like as you said, like maybe it's a matter of taking that side of me away and meeting people like and kind of turning myself into actually what I was like before. Do you know what I
Sure.
mean?
Or just going to places where you wouldn't expect to see someone like you,
Well,
like a building site. You
Like
might
a
find
bit-
someone there.
Exactly. Because I don't want to meet
love a
someone and they're
brickie.
like, oh, like let's come over and sit on the Gogglebox sofa. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, that's so weird.
because like that's happened.
People want
and
that
it's like-
moment. It's like you're not a museum.
And do you know what I mean? Like, all right, give me a $5 and you can come sit down.
Because actually, like, there is no shame if you're looking for a relationship. And I feel like, especially when you're dating as a straight woman, it's like you have to pretend that you're not looking for something. And it's like, and sometimes you might not be, and like having like a fling or whatever is fun. But I feel like people sort of like lie to you or lead you on. And then you get like a few dates in, they're like, whoa, I'm not looking for anything. And then it's like, what are you doing on Bumble then?
yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah, like just
Yeah.
like get yourself on Tinder or like one of the like
Yeah.
more like casual
hookup
apps,
apps,
or
yeah.
just
Yeah.
put it in your bio, like looking for hookups, because I'm sure that
Yeah.
people will. If like someone's just going through a breakup and they're looking for a bit of fun, like that's fine. But it's like the lying and the games.
I was just about to say that. I feel like it should be more direct because genuinely, like, what have you got to lose by saying, actually, I don't want anything?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No one
There is
gets hurt
no
then.
problem with that.
Nothing
It's the
more.
people that will then, like, 2 weeks later be like, do you know what? Or like the ghosting. I've only been ghosted once in my life and I took it so personally. The next night, like, was at my mate's and I was like on my phone at 3 a.m., like drunk, like about to text him. And my friend was like, sorry,
Stop.
what are you doing? He was like, I was like, no, like, he ignored
end of the
me.
world.
It's just, yeah, it's such a weird thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when people ghost, I'm like, just be honest. Just
Just
be upfront.
say
Like,
it.
I just
Tell me
don't get
you
it.
don't want me in that way.
Do you know
I'll
what I
take
mean?
it.
But they
fine.
have very poor communication skills, therefore not
Big
where they
red
are.
flag.
Or
Yeah.
for me,
Red
green
flag.
flag.
Run towards the
flag.
problems and fix them.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
like,
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
can fix you.
We could do
You've
online
got communication
classes.
skills, and I'm really good in this field. I actually did a course. I can help you.
Oh, don't.
I do think there's a certain and I'm not saying it's all men, but some of you, they do like to spring real surprises on you. I remember I was dating this guy when I was at uni, and I was like at a local spot for brunch, and I was like, oh, he's with family. No, it was his wife and 2 children, and I had no
That's a big
idea.
surprise.
I mean, that's a
I
big
won't say
surprise.
your name, but you know who you are.
That's a big
Harvey.
surprise.
That is not his real name. It's his real name.
Oh,
Yeah, so
I love that.
Really,
Sending shots.
really, really stressful about
Yeah.
and I think people forget that it's not just their emotions that's playing with, and I think we've backed and forth about what we will and won't accept, but what are our boundaries now with online dating? What are we willing to accept, and what is like, I'm not doing this, it's a no for me. Oh, you're not dating anyone, so
No,
neither
but
are you,
I
I'm so
can
sorry.
speak
But
from
what
past
were they?
experience.
There we go.
Gym
Alright.
selfies tend to be fuckboys.
Right.
Massive generalisation. You might
Anyone
be a
got
really
a pad
nice
and
person.
Write these down.
Well, people like you do.
Someone write this down.
Even the way they talk over message kind of
hate
sometimes
dry
gives me the
chat.
ick.
If someone
Dry chat.
is giving one-word answers,
Oh.
now I've told myself
one-word
just
answer.
leave it
Yeah.
alone.
It's not going to go anywhere.
because it won't go anywhere.
They're not prepared now at the start.
At the start,
Yeah.
They're gonna ruin your life.
I had a blue tick message me and say, it was so weird at 11:30 a.m. in the morning and say,
Excuse me.
hey, how are you? And I was like, yeah, all good. How are you? And they just put back good. And I was like, I'm sorry. What the fuck is going on? I was like, what was going on here? Like you can't, it wasn't a drunk text. It's 11:30 a.m. I saw
Yeah.
you walking your dog on your story.
Oh, so we actually know this
Random.
person and they still did that. It's really strange because if it was sort of like old-fashioned means of dating, how did anyone meet anyone without online? I really don't understand how that
I
happened.
know.
Like, come
Imagine
on.
having to talk to people when you go out.
Oh, absolutely not. But like, it means that we've lost that inhibition of it's what we wouldn't do if we were face to face, right? Like, if someone was sat opposite you, you wouldn't just give good as your answer,
Yeah,
right?
cool.
Yeah, you
And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like social media has warped how people are behaving.
Yeah.
Do you know one thing as well? Like before, I noticed when I was like, I had a period of like 3 months where I was single, like years ago.
Sure.
I've been like a serial relationship where it's really bad, so I'm stopping that now.
Bad.
But
It's your journey.
Yeah, in this 3 months, I met this guy, and I had this idea in my head of what he would be like really specifically. Like we'd only spoken on the phone a couple of times, and then he FaceTimed me, and I was like, oh my god.
Oh no.
This man is so different, but in my head I was like rugby boy, like 6 foot something, like really like
That
got
would do
bought
it.
in, like had this vision in my head that I would like fall in love with this man, and then I was sat on FaceTime like you're joking. Do you know what I mean? Like it was traumatic, and that really put me off because I feel like I build something that's not there in my head from photos.
Yeah.
Like
Not
you
real.
build this image, and then when it gets broken down, you're like, I can never do this again. The next
Yeah.
day you log back on, didn't you? And then do it
Yeah,
again.
it draws you back in.
Yeah.
See, when
that's
I
what's-
first started dating as a teenager, people had to ring the landline, so they had to speak to your parents. So I felt like that probably ruled out a lot of fuckboy behaviour because they'd be like,
They were scared
hi,
of your
Miss,
mum.
hi, Mr. James. Yeah, can I speak to your daughter, please? And he'd be like, who's speaking like? He's Geordie. He'd be like, why, who is it? And then like you'd have to have a little chat with your dad. So I feel like that would kind of
Thank you to Ashley's dad for weeding out the fuckboys. I'm sure you're very grateful.
yeah, exactly. Whereas these days it's like just direct, and I feel like because everyone's a swipe away, you don't know how many
Yeah.
people they're chatting to, or it's just
Yeah.
it's a crazy
I
world.
will admit to some bad behaviour. I don't really look, I just swipe, and whoever I reel in, I'll decide if I want to talk to them or not then.
Right.
Which I just feel like otherwise what's the point? You've got to speculate to accumulate. Surely
Yeah,
1
yeah.
out
Yeah,
of
but
12
you have to
must
like
be good.
there has to be a level of attraction, or like you have to like filter out red flags, or like
Yeah.
I am the red flag, if I'm honest with you.
Love that.
you can't be your own red flag.
know.
Oh, trust me, if you were with a conversation with my therapist, I am. So there's obviously pros and cons to dating online. But one thing that's probably more apparent now than, say, 15 years ago is how that can impact our mental health. We've obviously got very different experiences of where we're at in terms of relationships, but how has online dating impacted your mental health?
I
Who
think
wants to jump in?
I know, just jump in straight in. I think I think for me, when I used to have like the dating apps and stuff, especially with me, with my superpower, that was also an extra kind of thing that was kind of scary for me, you know, going on a date from online, having to tell them about it and not knowing whether they're going to accept it or not. That kind of did play with my mentality quite a lot, because I had that worry and anxiety of, you know, are they going to accept me for me, or, you know, it was a lot go through your head about that, because it's literally like you don't know what they're going to think of it. And it's scary to go on a date face to face and having to tell them about it and not know what reaction you're going to get, because normally when I used to do online dating, I kind of would say it over the app first, or sometimes I say it face to face, just kind of like preempt it, just like, just by the way, you know, I am, you know, deaf and I got a cochlear implant kind of situation. But I think it kind of also can really affect you, because social media, I feel like you have to be this perfect girl, like perfect image, like how you want to look. And I feel like if it gives you that pressure, you know, face to face as well, if they think, you know, oh my God, you look different in person, or you're like even more uglier in person or whatever, it can really play with you so much, because it's like you're putting yourself out there in a very vulnerable position, as well as just, you know, meeting up with people or chatting online or whatsoever. But it can really be a lot, because you don't want to, it's weird, I'm trying to explain it, but I think it's
I think we can all really relate to it.
I think I'm trying to like get it out there. It's just, you know, you are your own image, and it's scary to think people can love it or hate it. And you are really putting yourself out there like that kind of thing.
I think for me, if I go back to the past, like before I kind of learned about boundaries and red flags and those things, I found social media quite stressful, because you could see who, say if you started like going on a few dates with a guy and he'd make out he was into you, but then he'd kind of blow hot and cold, and then you'd see him liking like loads of girls in bikinis on Instagram, which, like, for me that was a bit of a red flag. But then you felt like if you communicated like, why are you liking all these people, then you'd be kind of like gaslit or made to feel like, oh my God, what, like you're crazy, like they're my friends, or you're being oversensitive. And like I learned to kind of recognize poor behavior quite quickly, but it took me a long time. So I was just like sucked into this social media world where you're kind of like stalking them because you have access and you're wondering what they're up to and you can watch their stories, whereas like back in the day you didn't know, and it was almost like ignorance is bliss. And
do you think we know too much? We can see too much of someone's activity, their persona. Do you think there's too much now?
Well, I think it depends how you use social media, and actually I tend now not to follow, like I follow Tommy now. It'd be weird if I didn't, because I mean we have a child together.
I don't know, I quite like the drama of
like
it.
early
I
dating,
refuse to follow you online.
he doesn't use social media like that, but I would have at the beginning, you know, and you're like thinking about them and you're excited. It would have been really tempting if he was an active social media user to be like, oh my God, what are they up to? And then you're like, oh, he's in my area and he's not got in touch with me, and it would allow you to sort of like overthink. Whereas when you don't know, I feel like it just stops your mind from overthinking bliss, so much.
Right?
Yeah,
no, it is 100%. Do you remember that feature on Instagram where you could see the photos they'd liked and then they took that away? If they still had that now, I would be in a psych ward, right? There's no way I could see that. Do you know what I mean? I
was obsessed with it.
Yeah, and I'm glad they took that away.
I'm so thrilled.
But that was anxiety inducing. Yeah. And that was like when I was like in my early teens, but seeing that was just, you'd like someone, you'd be like, oh wait. And you see everything they liked. Awful.
Yeah, it's so weird, isn't it?
Not nice.
I think we maybe are more aware of our own behavior as well. And so if, you know, we're in the public eye, so we do, I'm not saying that we play our role of who we are, but we are more aware of our own behavior. I guess not everyone has that awareness of social media and being a person. Do you think that if everyone had the pressure that we possibly face online, they'd approach online dating in a different way?
I think everyone has pressures, because I think, you know, every person has insecurities and vulnerabilities. And I would say, like, in general, as a rule of thumb, we're not really taught in schools about like self-esteem and confidence and red flags and all of these things that I think actually would be really useful tools. And so whether you're in the public eye, like, you know, I've got friends who aren't in the public eye and actually don't really use Instagram, but they'll still be like, can you like my picture? Because they don't want it to look like they've only got a couple of likes. And that's really interesting to me, because I was almost like envious that they don't have to worry about it, but they do. And then I think when they're dating, even though they are not online, they worry, you know, like, oh, I've put this picture up and no one's liked it and it'll look like I've got no friends. And they want like to be like, in the same way everyone kind of wants to be the highlight version of themselves in the beginning with dating. But also we look for the highlights in other people, so that we sort of build a fantasy around people. And then when you're seeing on social media that, you know, they're on a night out or they're on their phone, you're like, they're on their stories, they've done like 7 stories, but they've not texted me back. And so it's really hard, because it's like a difficult one to navigate, and it makes you overthink. But that's why I think it's so important to like learn more about red flags and boundaries and all of those things, because it allows you to like rule out all the like fuckboys and everything much earlier.
I also think there's this scary ability to like check in on an ex and be like, who's winning, who's doing better. And I think that social media,
trust me, I know.
I block.
Do you?
Yeah.
I mean, I've done all that.
I'm like, see ya, bang.
I have my drag account, which I go on to like use as like stalking, but it's so stupid of me, because
you
it's
know,
so
the
obvious.
minute you do it, it makes you feel stupid, and it's horrible.
The moment you do it, you know that's gonna, when they click up on these story views, it's gonna say that you've seen it, and then you're so embarrassed. But at the time, you're like, because do you know what it is on Instagram? Obviously, you go on there and you've got the little circle, and it's got like the orange around it, which shows it. And I literally hover over it like, like do it, and then I'm like, I do it, and I'm like, fuck. Do you know what I mean? I literally don't even care what's on there at that point. I'm sad. Do you know what I mean? It's so stupid.
Never healthy.
I've got no self-control with it though, but you like grow out of doing that, don't you? But yeah, I block, and then
I feel like you have to believe that you are winning, because they're not with you, so they've lost.
Write that down.
Tattoo that on my leg. No.
I am the winner because they're not with me.
And it's easy, like when you look at any moments in your past, to get nostalgic, but if it didn't work, it didn't work. So like all you can do is look forward. So block those exes. Don't look, because it's only going to make you feel shit and put you back in the past. But actually,
what would I do at 3 a.m. in the morning though? Like, I don't know what else to do.
Swipe and look for new people.
Swipe and give one-word answers to people I don't really care about.
But one of them you might care about in the future.
I've not found.
But if you keep knocking on the past door, that's not going to be the one.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that. Amen.
Wow. I feel there was so many takeaways from that. I just need to process them.
I'm sat here like
mind blown. That's incredible. So do you think, is there a way to date online without feeling anxious, without feeling stressed? Is there a strategy? You've obviously unlocked it. I mean, the way you did it's maybe not for everyone, because it means going on a show and like it's not accessible for everyone, and it's like maybe not the route, but there may be some lessons to learn from there. Is there things that we can do that make it better, that make it easier? I want people to have some takeaways, that it's not all bad.
I think the best advice I could give is just stay true to yourself. Yes. I think that's honestly the best advice, because if you pretend to be somebody that you're not, that's when you're going to make it harder for yourself, very harder for yourself. I think you have to own it and just be who you are and not be scared. Social media is such a scary place, so don't be afraid of it. And just, you know, if you are interested in someone, you know, you've matched online, go for it. And like, it doesn't work out, but just stay true to you. And I think that's the best advice I can really give. And
try not to take rejection personally, because I feel like a lot of people go on online dating apps kind of reluctantly, or a little bit like, oh, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't.
It's like a dirty secret sometimes, right?
But also sometimes they might be like, have unfinished business with an ex, or there's so many things going on, and then suddenly they ghost or they stop talking to you, and then you're like, what have I done? I must have done this. I must have said that. They must have seen this Instagram post, but actually it's not personal, because you don't know in what. I always think of it as taxi lights, like, or like traffic signs. Like, some people come on dating apps and they're actually red because they're like cheating on a girlfriend or boyfriend, or, you know, like just bad red flag people, but they're not actually available. They're doing it for like their own hit of attention. And then you have like the amber people who are a little bit undecided, but they're kind of just testing the waters. And then you have the green people who are like, I'm ready for something and I want to meet someone right. And you have to meet a green person a green person that you also are aligned with, and you don't know, they might not be the right person. And so if they reject you in any way, that's actually, it's like, oh, thank God we don't have to go through like loads of dates and then I get hurt further down the line when they actually know me. So
absolutely.
My advice would be basically to have that self-worth so high before you do it, like, and feel so confident in who you are and the ability to trust people again, that even if you get knocked down, even if you do meet people, even if you have that rejection, you know in your heart of hearts, like, you know, that doesn't bother me. Like you can kind of,
you gave it your all.
You gave
for
your
the
all.
reasons you wanted to.
You won't beat yourself up and you'll move on. I think that if you do it when your head's not in the right place, it can just mess you up more, make you more anxious. You know what I mean? Whereas if you do it and you're being kind to yourself, then I think that's the main thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. My mum always said you have to kiss a lot of frogs to find a
your
prince.
My mum said that as well.
It's a very mum thing. I would just like to say, if you are at home, there are a lot of poisonous frogs. Please do not be going out kissing frogs. It's not the right thing, but like take the metaphor for what it means. People on the internet, they'll do anything these days. It really worries me. But I would just like to thank you all for opening up and being so personal with this. It's not easy. I know you've just been through a breakup.
No, it's all good.
And it's
I'm just going to go cry myself to sleep.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
I'm messing. I'm fine.
No, but seriously, that could happen as well, right?
Don't say that. We're trying to take positives
No,
away
I'm so
from
sorry.
it.
No one is crying themselves to sleep tonight. But I really appreciate it. And it's so lovely from your different journeys of where you are that there is hope at the end of the tunnel. There is something good that could happen. I'd love to ask you if having an online persona brings, I mean, I imagine it does, but does it bring extra pressure to the world of online dating?
I mean, personally, I think it does because, so like, this is very like anxiety fueling for me because a lot of people know me in a certain way.
Yes.
And there is, no one believes this, but I was really shy and it still am in some respects, right? Like even growing up, I liked my own space. Like I was like quite a quiet kid, which is very weird that I ended up like in this
I'm a shy person
industry.
too.
But
we're all
obviously
here.
Everyone has their own sides, their personality, which are bigger, more vibrant, whatever.
Yeah.
And it does worry me that people will like meet me, go on dates, etc., and be like, oh wait, like he's
you
not
didn't
all
live
like.
up to it.
Do you know what I mean? Like that type of thing really scares me because there is obviously so many layers to my personality. It's just not what I show on like a 60-second TikTok video. Do you know what I mean?
But really interestingly, that's on them. That's not on you.
No, of course,
but it scares
that's what you have to remember. Yeah, that's it. Like I have to remember that's, you know, they're not the right person then.
Yeah.
But you always like, I think there's always that tiny little voice that doubts inside. You know what I mean? Everyone has it.
Oh, yeah.
And you've just got to like bat that away. That's why I said about obviously, you know, you've got to have that self-worth to be able to date and have that backing for yourself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And connection usually comes from vulnerability, doesn't it? It's like the scariest part
That's
of ourselves.
it as well.
I always felt like I had to project this like perfect persona of myself, and then I realized that was kind of what was stopping me from finding a connection.
I feel like when you let yourself like open up, that's when you make the genuine connections.
Yeah.
But that is not going to be the person that you are in front of like millions of people.
No.
It's not.
No.
So that's just the like way you got to differentiate it basically.
I mean, online dating, it's hard enough as it is. Imagine if you can, you go on this huge institution of a TV program and you start dating like that. I don't know. What's that like, Tasha?
Obviously going on Love Island it's also scary because you are, you know, going to a villa, middle of nowhere, random strangers, new people, no phones, no connection to the outside world. So it's very intense environment to be in. You are basically forced to date because that's what you're there for. You're there to find love.
That's really scary.
Yeah, scary.
I'd be so scared on the first date. I don't want to do it. I'm sorry.
You
What's
can't
the concept?
escape it. You can't escape it. But it's such a great experience because, you know, you get to know different personalities and people, different looks and different vibes. That's what's great about the show is that, you know, everyone's diverse and different. And I feel like, especially this year, there's a lot of good diversity and everyone's really different. And yeah, I just think it was scary knowing the fact that this is going to be on TV. So it also does, you know, with cameras around you as well, it was also a bit of pressure.
Did you feel yourself editing yourself? Did you overthink what you were giving because of what you were worried that people would think about you?
I think for me...
Which is hard enough in dating, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think being in there was kind of, you have to be yourself because for me, I went in being like, I'm just going to do me and be myself because if I portray not being me, that's when people know that I am being fake or whatsoever. And I'm a very emotional person. I wear my heart on my sleeve. And I think you all probably see that, you know, I'm just very emotional. And I think that they may come across quite whatsoever to people, but it can get quite a lot in there because there's a lot of way, you know, you're dating, you're getting to know people, and especially with my cocker implant is also another thing on top. I can get tired from that. So as fun as it also was very hard. But it was a great experience to really get to know people. And I walked out of Andrew, so that's what made it even better. Is that I actually found someone and took Love Island for what it was, because that's the whole point.
And I think the fact that you came to it and said, I'm just going to do me, is probably why you were received so well, but also how you've come out of it with like your happy ending, which is almost like in dating, being yourself is a good thing to do. Like, mind blowing. Absolutely. I didn't know that was the right thing to do. I've been playing all these roles and it's just not worked out. Yeah. So thank you so much for sharing that with me. That's beautiful. So obviously in the villa, you're dating with no social media. You can't go and look who he's following, who he's like, what he's liking, his story. You can't see those cringe gym selfies if there were any. Do you think that helped you in that way to like actually connect to that person?
Absolutely, yeah. I preferred not having any phone social media, because you actually are connecting on such an emotional level. And I think social media plays a massive part in the real world on the outside, that, you know, when you go on a date, you'll be on your phones. That happens a lot. So the fact that we can really connect and talk and have deep conversations and connect deeply is what made me and Andrew so strong, was because you know, you're able to learn skills like communication, honesty, trust. All the foundations in a relationship become so strong in a villa, because you're walking out with none of that social media. So coming out is so weird. I was on this Instagram, like scrolling down, I was like, oh my God, you used to have long hair.
Oh,
I was like, what? It's like Aquaman, but it's just crazy.
So what you're saying is we all need to go on Love Island.
Yeah, that's the only option.
Thank you, Tasha.
But has that changed your relationship with social media? Obviously, like, you can't escape it now. It's become your job. Like, if you weren't on social media, you wouldn't have your career, right? But has it given you awareness of like understanding that people are not what they seem online?
Absolutely. I think, you know, when you're having no friends, no social media, it really is great, because you're getting to know that person for real and who they really are, rather than having to go on Instagram, go on the tagged photos, followers, all those kind of things, how many likes they get, all these things that plays into it. I think for me personally, I'm more aware about it. Even now, when I'm with Andrew, I'm not even going on social media as much, because I still want to keep connecting on that level, because it makes you really strong, and it makes that bond so much stronger. So I think, I'm quite more aware of it now, which is crazy, because even before on dating apps and stuff, I'll constantly be on dating apps, like swiping left, right, getting to know people whatsoever. So it really is a good thing to take away from Love Island for sure.
And it's still going well. Everyone wants to know.
Oh, yeah. It's going fabulous.
Great.
It's going great.
Oh, I love that for you. That's brilliant to hear.
Because even when we first watched that tunnel, I was the only girl that was like, he's a bit of me. So, absolutely.
Okay, phew, for everyone watching at home. That was tense.
I was like sweating when you asked me that. I was like...
It would be a really awkward conversation if you said no and then it came out and you'd have to have that conversation.
I can see the papers now. It's incredible. We obviously attach ideals to being single versus being in a relationship. Have you felt that like people treat you differently now that you're in a relationship and happy, gorgeously happy to versus when you were single? Do you feel like there's a different thing attached to it?
Do you know what? It's interesting, because over the 6 years that I was single, the first 3 years, I really felt like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
Why does no one want me? And I really felt like being single equaled failure, especially because at the time I was like, I'm nearly 30, and you know, for whatever reason in society we place all these sort of like ideas of what we'll have done by 30, and 30 seems so ancient that when you get to it, you're literally having a breakdown, because you're like, I've done none of those things and I'm not old enough to be 30. And then I started to really like see the value in putting so much love into like friendships and traveling and my dog and all these amazing things. And it would really frustrate me that people would see single as like a negative thing. So people would be like, when are you going to settle down? And I was like, I'll just click my fingers, or like, don't you want children? And at the time I didn't actually. And I was like,
plot twist.
I found it really, literally. Surprise. I found it really frustrating that being single is still seen as like such a negative, especially as you get older. And even going to weddings, and all people really cared about was like, so when are you going to be bringing someone? When are you going to meet someone? And I'd be like, I'm doing all this really cool stuff and I've just traveled the world. And I almost got to a point where I became resentful of relationships, because I was like, not all relationships are good. No, but also like, we presume that if you're in a relationship, that's like tick, but there's so many bad relationships. And actually I would love there to be more single positivity, because then I feel like it's better for everyone, because people aren't afraid of the other side of a bad relationship, and people can like really start to like realize that they're like complete and whole on their own, as cheesy as it sounds. So then they can like make really positive choices for themselves. So I think yeah, I've definitely noticed that people are like, even saying things like that we don't even think about, oh, you got your happy ending. And it's like, but my happy ending was also me being single, traveling the world in my 30s. Like, and I felt really empowered by that, because I was like, wow, like, and now I'm so glad I did, because I met Tommy and 3 months later it was lockdown. And then a month later I got pregnant, and we came out of lockdown, and I couldn't travel and I couldn't do all of those things. And becoming a mum unexpectedly, I was suddenly like, thank God I did all of that stuff when I was single, because my life has changed now, and I can't just go traveling at the drop of the hat. And I went to like all these amazing like honeymoon destinations with friends, and actually like Tommy doesn't like a lot of the same stuff that I like. So if you wait for to meet someone before you do that thing you want to do, like they might not want to do that. Yeah. So I feel like we just got to go out and live our lives, whether that's with friends or your dog or whoever it is, and then you attract better relationships.
It's like almost like don't wait to live for the situation to be right. Just
also realise that people in relationships, it might not last forever. And obviously we all hope it does if it's a good relationship. But you could be like in a 10-year relationship. I was in a 7-year relationship from like 15 to 22. And then I became single. And people who I know who've been in relationships their whole 20s will suddenly find themselves single in their 30s, or people are single in their 40s, 50s. So enjoy like whatever chapter you're in, and try to make the most of that chapter, because like nothing is ever guaranteed forever anyway.
It's so important.
Yeah, because I was just gonna say, like, even I've only had like before Andrew like 2 relationships. They weren't even long term, so a lot of my life have been single. And you're so right, like being single is quite portrayed quite negative, but at the time, you know, when I was single, I was enjoying myself, finding who I was and finding out who you really are as a person. Self-love, you can really grow on that as well. And I feel like being single is also a very positive thing. So like you were saying, I completely agree.
And I feel like as well, like feminism is really working its magic in terms of relationships. Like, you know, I think it was like in the 70s, you couldn't open a bank account or buy a house unless you were married, basically, unless you had a husband. And now we can do all of those things. We don't need to be married. I'm not married. Like we don't need, you can have a baby out of marriage without like being excommunicated from society. Or you can buy a house if you have the money. Obviously that's a different story, but like I feel like the kind of happier ever after like ideas of, you know, like, oh, I hope that by the time I'm 27 I'm married off and someone picks me. And it's like we're not just like objects on a supermarket shelf. Like we can do all those things on our own. So actually we have the choice now, whereas like back in the day people didn't have so much choice, and you were called like a spinster if you were like single in your 30s. And now also like we live till 84. Like, you know, why do you need to have settled down by the time you're 30? Like you're not even halfway through your life.
I want a well-run romance at 79, please.
Yes, please.
I want my last 5 years to be the best of my life. Holding out for that. I feel like we could talk about this forever. There are so many amazing things. If you have been affected by anything that we've been talking to, you want to know more about it, follow hashtag IAMWHOLE. There is so much amazing content out there on the internet that you can find the resources. You never need to suffer in silence. I think we're all bigger testers for you need to talk to people, you need to share these feelings. So please don't be suffering there in silence. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you have loved what I have been doing today for you, I have been Ben Pechey, and if you have not, I have been Holly Willoughby. Bye-bye.